Okay, so we're talking about recursive, and specifically we're mostly talking about growth and decay. All right, so if I gave you this, u sub 0 equals 20. U sub n, you do not have to write this down, just look. U sub n equals u sub n minus 1, and then I said this, times 1.5. Do you get that that's going to grow? Therefore, it's growth. What percent of growth? Nope, that would be 15% growth. We do not. 150 is not correct. What is the percent of growth? Say it louder. 0.5 is not a percent, but you're really, really close. Can you say the 50%? Yes. Do you notice that I went through like 7 wrong answers until I got the right one? Do you see why a lot of kids get this wrong? Because it's not intuitive. Now that you hear the answer is 50%, it's not too hard to do it. When I say 0.8 here, then a really common mistake is people think it's, first of all, it is decay, but they think it's 80% decay, and it's not. Because it's under 1, it's decaying. What percent is it decaying? 20%. And here's my advice. Whenever you have this kind, rewrite this as a 1 plus something or a 1 minus something. I know where we're going with these, and this is going to be the way we're going to do the really complicated ones, is when it says 0.8, you rewrite it as 1 minus 0.2. Do you get how that's the same as 0.8? But why is it better? Because it tells you the decay rate right there, 20% decay. If you always rewrite it as 1 plus or 1 minus something, it really helps. Because see this? A lot of kids say they think that's 200% growth, and it's not. What did I just say? Rewrite it as 1 plus or 1 minus something. So what would this be? 1 plus 1. And therefore, what is the rate of growth? 100% growth. When you times something by 2, yes, it doubles. Say you had $100, now you have $200. But that's not 200% growth. It's 100% growth. All right. So this technique of rewriting it tells you how to make this into a growth rate or a decay rate. And if it's a plus, it'll be growth. And if it's a minus, it would be decay. And then this would be the rate. All right. Real typical situation is it'll say like 1.2. And you'll know that it's growing by what percent? 20%. The hard kind or when it's like this? 38. What percent growth is that? Not 37%.
No, 300. No, 30,000.
You had it before. 370%. Because, why? Because I can rewrite this as 1 plus 37. And so you knew there was a 37 involved, right? And if it had been 0.37, that'd be 37%. If it was 3.7, 370. Wait a minute, did I do that wrong? 0.37, wait, 0.37 is 37% growth. Move it over 1, it'd be 370% growth. Move it over 2 spots, which is what you're supposed to do. You get it right the second time. 3,700% growth. Whew, those can be really mind benders. Okay, let's go back to one that's more normal. 1.9. You get that that's 90% growth, not 9% growth. All right. So now, would that 20 almost double? Yeah, that's 90% growth. And if I asked you for the 20th term, have I started with the right thing? If I ask you for the 20th term, why would most kids get it wrong right now if they did what I have? Because I used u sub 0. If I want the 20th term, I should start with u sub 1. Okay? Because otherwise, if I make a list of them, 20, and the next one's 90% bigger than that, which should be like 38, and then the next one's bigger than that. This one, if I start with u sub 0, and this is u sub 1, feedback is driving me crazy. Then, if I say, what's the first term, a lot of kids are going to think, oh, the first term's 38. They're wrong. See how, if I ask you for a term, like the first term, second term, third term, this is a bad way to start. Don't want to do that. if they're asking you for a term like that, then you should start with like u sub 1, and this is u sub 2, etc. Okay, I think I fixed the feedback thing. All right, so would you put this in your calculator, please? You're putting this in the calculator. Start with u sub 1, because I'm going to ask you for the 20th term. So make sure you get the basics of these. If you can't do this one, then you're really going to get lost for what we do next. So get it in the calculator, then you can use the table, or you can use the blank screen and go to u sub 20. Yes? Having trouble with the calculator?
Put 20 here.
Nope, that top number is, this is the top line of your calculator. That number right there. The next line of your calculator should look like this, except in your calculator this is parentheses. And then the 20 is on the third line of the calculator. So I'll put this one in on my calculator here. So this is u sub 1, good. And then u sub n minus 1. And then I should have a parentheses right here. There's a lot of chatter. I'm wondering is something going wrong or what's happening? It's probably your table settings are off then. We're starting with 20. There we go. If you're trying to go to your table and it's taking forever, it's because your table is in a really weird spot. I'm going to see where my table starts. My table starts at 8, which is kind of a weird place to start. I'm going to start at 1. And then I'm going to enter. And now I'm going to go to my table. Okay. Now if I want to get up to the 20th term, I can just hit arrow down, arrow down, arrow down, or there's a smarter way. Yep. I go to, just type in a 20. I don't think that'll work so good. Okay. So I go second quit, and I go u, second 7, that gives me the u, sub, parentheses, 20. Enter. Did you get 3956839? Raise your hand if you did. Okay, good. All right, so now, that's a pretty big number. It's almost 4 million. So that's what happens to a 20 if you times it by 1.9 a whole bunch of times. All right, one other thing I want to show you is that you can use a different form of this, and that's a more normal equation. I'm going to write one for you and see if you can see where it came from. Y equals 20 times 1.9 to the x. That is called an exponential equation, and that's what you're going to use in pre-calc next year. And it's the exact same stuff. This right here, starting value. This right here tells you the growth rate, and the x is how many years you're going to make it grow, or how many cycles. Sometimes it's like every 2 weeks it doubles or whatever. It depends on how long the cycle is, but this is the time, and this is the results. All right, so I'll give you an example. Last night the topic was brought up about gas prices and how the gas prices are going up, up, up. They're like almost $4 a gallon. And some people were, they're trying to decide who's to blame. The Republicans, of course, say Obama is to blame for it. Because when Obama came into office, the gas prices were like, I don't know, like $1.90 or something like that. Can't remember exactly what the number was, but it's a lot lower than it is now. And now it's $4. It's gone up a lot. And call it $2, that's fine. So let's say that it was $2 then and it's $4 now. I can put that into an equation. Y equals, what's this first number supposed to be? Yeah, it started at $2 a gallon. It grew by some rate I don't know. What do you think I should put in here? Stretch your brain now. No, not just X. Remember how I told you to write these? 1 plus, and I don't know what rate it was. What do I put? I could say X, except that's the time. I'm going to say R. for the rate. It's that same idea as an x, yes. And then the x is the time. How much time has elapsed since Obama was elected? 4 years. At least in November, it'll be 4 years. By solving this little problem, this was the result. What is gas price right now about? $4 a gallon. All of a sudden now I've got everything I need to figure out what rate has gas gone up over that time. I can just solve for R. All right, so I wanted to show you how you could write these as more normal equations. So now I'm going to write you what you're now kind of used to. I could have put a 0.7 right there, but I chose to put 1 minus 0.3. And I want you to see if you can write me one of these kind of equations for it. Y equals AB to the x, just like I just showed you a second ago. See if you can write the right formula for this situation. Starts with y equals. Do you get how I put a 28 here? Because that's the starting value. What do I put there? 0.7 or 1 minus 0.3. Either way would have been okay. To the x, but that if you say fourth, it's assuming that it's the same problem where it's 4 years later. I started a totally different thing here. I didn't say it was about Obama anymore. All right. So now this little equation, if I wanted to go down 4 cycles down the road, I'd put a 4 here. If I wanted to go 14 cycles or 14 years or 14 weeks or however long the time periods are that cause it to go down 30%, I put the time right there. If I knew instead, I didn't know the time, but I knew the results, I knew that my 28 shrank all the way down to, let's say, a 12 or something, then I could figure out how much time it took to shrink from the starting value of 28 to the ending value of 12. All right, so now stretch your mind a little bit farther. Watch this. Write me a recursive for that. You know, with the u and the u sub n minus 1, that whole thing. Write me one of those. I'm actually getting you a little bit ahead here. So, but I know if you learn this, then a couple days from now, it'll make your life easier. So, did I say what to start with? No. So you can choose your option. How many of you chose u sub 1? How many chose u sub 0? Either way is good. How many use 1? Because more kids picked that. Equals 30. Did you start with that? Yeah. Good. U sub n equals u sub n minus 1. That's what always comes next. No matter which the problem, what kind of problem it is. And then I got to put something in here. Is this growing or decaying? Growing. So I'd put 1 plus 0.2. And if you put 1.2, that's fine. But why is this better? Because it shows me that 20% growth rate. And last but not least, did anybody remember to say n is greater than or equal to 2 or 1, depending on which you had? All right, good. Then you guys would get the full credit on the test. Because it's really easy to forget that domain. Don't forget that. It's always 1 bigger than whatever this number is. So if you started with a sub-0, then you'd have a 1 down there. All right. Now the only thing that's kind of new for today, I'm going to show you the problem from your homework, is one like this. So first thing that's new, I guess, is they're going to ask you what percent growth or percent decay it is, and I think you caught on to that really fast. You're going to be fine on those. The other thing that's new is this. They have to ask you to graph them. Do you get that you used to graph things with an x and a y, and it was always x and y? But now this doesn't have an x and a y, does it? But look, what's down here where x normally is? N. N is the little tiny number that's the subscript on these things. See, the little tiny thing at the bottom? So that's like the n, the 1 there. And then the y is really this, which is what? U sub n. So now your graph consists of points, instead of x and y's, they're n's and u sub n's. Now, the very first point is given to you. You see how it says u sub 1 equals 10? Do you get how that is really 1 going with 10? That's just saying that if I use a sub 1, then my answer will be 10. 1, 10. Okay. Notice the directions. Graph for the first 5 terms. What's the first term? 10. The next term is going to be u sub 2, and it'll go right here. What is the next term? Well, if it starts with 10 and it goes down 25%, can you do that in your head? I can. 7.5, very good. How about the next one? Okay, so 3. What does 3 go with? I don't think it's 5. That would be if it goes down 2.5 every time, and it doesn't. This goes down 25%. Ah, thank you. You used a calculator, or yeah. What did you get? Or did you do it in your head? Is that what you got too? 5.62? 5.625? Okay. You can still do this in the calculator. It's fine. And basically, I just needed the first 4 terms. So you can look at your table on your calculator, find the first 4 terms. Here's the first one. Here's the second one. Here's the third one. And here's the fourth one. And what is it? Somebody's got the calculator. You can just take that and times by 0.75 again. 4.21. All right, now how do I actually graph these? I just go find the spots and I put dots. 1 goes with 10. Over 1. See, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Over 1, up 10. Well, if this is 30, then this is 20, and this is 10. And so over 1, up 10 is right there. Over 2, up 7.5. It's like right there. Over 3 and up 5.6. Over 4 and up 4.2. All right. So there we go. And you see how it's kind of curving down like this, and it'll like level off a little bit, but it's going to keep decaying or slowly shrinking. All right. So that's how you graph them. You just make yourself a little list of the points. You can still put them in the calculator just like you did before. And the calculator will just take whatever the table says and graph those points. Okay? All right. I think that's all you need to do for today's, all you need to know for today's homework.